Hello everyone. I'm sorry for the late video this week, but I'm here in Palm Springs with my family for Thanksgiving, and I'm sorry for the lighting, but this is the only place I can do. But looks like a pretty good view. I love Palm Springs. It's beautiful. If you haven't been there, you should go. Anyway, let's get right into it. First, we're going to talk about the Lakers. So specifically LeBron, I want to talk about, because I've talked a lot about the Lakers' struggles and what they need, and I don't like reiterating myself too much. So I'm going to talk about LeBron. So LeBron is second in the league to Kemba Walker in scoring, and before the season, I didn't say this on my podcast because I didn't start my podcast that early enough, but I thought LeBron was going to have his career high in scoring, because on the Lakers you have Lonzo, you have Ingram, you have Rondo, you have a bunch of different playmakers to take the ball out of LeBron's hands playmaking wise, so he can focus on just being a bully and scoring and improve his perimeter shooting. Also because the Lakers play with such a fast pace that he's going to get so many possessions and so many shots. And because we spread the floor usually, not all the time, which annoys me, which I've talked about in other episodes, but usually we spread the ball, which gets him good at high percentage shots. And so that's the reason why I think he could have his career high in scoring. That being said, he's averaging a career low in minutes, and he's second in the league in scoring. So I think the minutes will increase as the season goes on. I hope it doesn't, but I think it will. And that will only improve his scoring, and then he could lead the league in scoring even. And that's going to be very impressive in his 16th season. All right, moving on, Julius Randle. So, Julius Randle should be on the Lakers. Oh, come on, why isn't he on the Lakers? So Julius Randle is he's interesting. He's playing really well. He's my pick for Sixth Man of the Year so far. Maybe him, D Rose, Dennis Schroeder, but Dennis Schroeder has been a starter for most of the year so far because Westbrook has been hurt. But the other day he was the 5th player in NBA history to have a triple-double in 25 minutes or less. The others being Westbrook in 2014, Whiteside in 2015, Markelle Fultz in 2018, and I think it's Lever in 1987. But out of all those players, he's the first to score 20 or more points in that triple-double. So he's playing really well. And I want to go against those people saying that AD plays better with Mirotic. I disagree. I think AD needs to save some of his energy for the playoffs. And he's said it himself. He has to play perfect for the Pelicans to win. But with Julius Randle, who's a really good player, Julius Randle can take some of the playmaking and some of the bullying off of Anthony Davis' shoulders. So Anthony Davis can sort of save his energy. So I think Anthony Davis plays actually more efficiently and better defense, because Julius Randle is also a better defender than Mirotic. So Anthony Davis has to do less and can be more of a perimeter player, which he prefers to do. He wants to play power forward rather than center. And so Julius Randle can play in the paint, and he can sort of play outside and play off of that. Like, Anthony Davis is still their best player whenever he's on the court, but Julius Randle is that sort of nucleus player that it goes off of him, or it can flow through Drew, or they could still feed Anthony Davis, and then Julius Randle can then crash the boards or play make to Anthony Davis. I mean, if you've been watching Julius Randle lately, he's making dimes, and they're not always making the shots, but he's absolutely diming people up. All right, moving on to the no defense. I want to talk about no defense NFL and no defense NBA. So this will be brief because it's pretty obvious. The NBA and NFL have instituted rules and points of emphasis to teams to stress more offensive play and less physical defense. So there's less injuries, less fouls, less no, not less fouls, but less hard fouls, and people can just play their game, and it focuses on players being really skilled, and they want every skilled offensive player to succeed. But in response, players aren't really focusing on defense. That's why Kyrie said there's no defense in the NBA anymore. Jabari Parker said I'm not paid to play defense. But I think there's a happy mix. Like, not everyone wants the game to be the 0-4 Pistons or the Laker game last night, where I think it was like both teams scored under 90 points or under 100 points. Like, that's not as entertaining as maybe a 110 to 105 game or a 102 to 98 game. I think there's a happy medium in there, and both leagues need to find it. Like the NFL, no one wants to. The Rams-Chiefs game was one of the greatest games ever, but because there were also defensive touchdowns. But if it was just offensive touchdowns and it was 54 to 51, that wouldn't be so entertaining. That would be kind of boring, because then offenses were just doing whatever they wanted and was just going back and forth, and then and that was also one of the longer games. It was a Monday Night Football game that ended at 9 o'clock. Like, that's pretty long for a Monday Night Football game. And I think there's a happy medium to be found where you can, I think for the NBA, it's let them play a little bit more physical, don't call as many fouls, and that way you're also not stopping the game as much. You might get a little more injuries, but I think the payout overweighs that. In the NFL, I need to think about it a little more, but I think it's also physicality that is the answer. Like, maybe allow them to press more at the line, or allow a little more bumping, but there's a happy medium. They're making steps to the right direction to make it more entertaining, but there's a happy medium to be found. All right, moving on to my NFL Week 12 predictions. Last week is my worst week. I went 5-8, but I'm still going strong for the season. Since week 3, I'm 75-54, which is still pretty good, but 5-8 is unacceptable, and I'm going to do better. So I picked my Thursday night football games. I'm sorry I couldn't make a video with all of them in the meantime, but I was with family here in Palm Springs. But on my last video, I had a pinned comment where I gave my predictions ahead of time, and I picked the Lions. I was wrong about that. Picked the Cowboys, right about that, and I picked the Saints, and I was right about that. And I gave a brief explanation of all those in the comments if you want to read it. But those are the three. So far I'm 2-1. Let's move on. Browns at Bengals, the Battle of Ohio. So the Bengals are the better team right now. Next year, I think one of these teams will win the division, and the Steelers will sort of regress. Even though the Steelers have surprised me a little bit, they should have lost like last week. The Jaguars choked that away. But the Bengals are at home, and they've lost a bunch in a row. The Browns are looking to end a huge road streak. I don't think that happens. I think they get Hugh Jackson integrated back into the team. They're at home. They end this losing streak right here and still are in contention for the division. Moving on, 49ers at Buccaneers, another game no one cares about. The Buccaneers are at home. They have a better offense. Let's hope Jameis Winston, who's starting this week, doesn't throw for 2 interceptions or more, because they have, I think the streak has hit 7 games of a quarterback throwing 2 or more interceptions. This streak could be more. I think it's either 7, 8, 9, or 10. The Jaguars at Bills. Bills are one of the worst teams in the league, but they're a good defense. Jaguars have been a complete disappointment this season, and it's because they did not fix their quarterback. Blake Bortles is not the answer. They need to fix that before next year. But Leonard Fournette is getting back situated. I think they go on the road and win this game. The Raiders at Ravens. I think the Ravens win this. They're just a completely better team than the Raiders. The Raiders have no pass rush. They have anything besides... No, they really have nothing. They're even yelling at their quarterback, who Gruden called their star quarterback, who might not be their star quarterback anymore. But yeah, the Ravens are just better in pretty much every way. Lamar Jackson is played pretty well last week. He did. Seahawks at Panthers. This is going to be a good game. The Seahawks are playing well, but the Panthers have lost a few in a row. I think they bounce back at home. They get their offense back going. Defenses struggled and also played decently well, but I think they're going to get it going at home. Patriots, Jets, they're coming off a bye. Tom Brady, I think, is like 25-5 or 25-4 coming off of a bye in his career, including playoffs. There's no way they lose this game, even if Brady doesn't play, because that's a concern. Belichick will get this done with Brian Hoyer. The Jets it's in New York, so it's a tough divisional game. But they're coming after a bye. They get Sony Michel back healthy. Gronk is coming back more healthy. I do not see a situation where they lose this game coming off after a bye. It's very unlikely with Bill Belichick. Giants at Eagles. Giants suck. The Eagles are injured beyond belief. The Eagles are without their top 5 cornerbacks at practice. The Giants have an explosive offense. I don't trust Eli Manning. The Eagles are at home, though. They could bounce back, but I'm going to go with the upset here and give the Giants the win, just because of the injuries that the Eagles are facing. I just think it's too much to overcome. It will be a shootout, I think. Cardinals at Chargers. The Chargers blow out the Cardinals. Complete domination after a tough divisional loss that they threw away, that Philip Rivers threw away, that has people thinking, are the Chargers really legit if they're going to choke games like this away? Dolphins at Colts. Man, are the Colts rolling. They've won 4 in a row. Andrew Luck is balling. Him and J.J. Watt are battling for Comeback Player of the Year for me. AP fell a little bit behind with his performance last week. He did get injured, but still, it's about what you perform, not about the excuses. Steelers at Broncos. What you have here is a team that's hot versus a tough, gritty team at home at Mile High, which is one of the best home field advantages in the NFL. I think they take this game and they stop the Steelers' winning streak. Packers at Vikings. I think Aaron Rodgers, I think, is 4-5 against a Mike Zimmer-led defense. I think the Vikings win this game. They stop the Packers from scoring over 24 points, and they score about 28. And they're just, Kirk Cousins bounces back. They throw the ball a little better. The defense is getting going a little bit, and I think they run the ball a little bit with Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray. Titans and Texans. This is a really good game. Titans are going to look to bounce back after a terrible loss to the Colts, but it's in Houston, and looking at the season beforehand, I picked the Texans to win this game. I'm going to stick with that, just as I picked the Texans to win the division. I think the Texans win this game. It'll be close. Deshaun Watson has a good game. DeAndre Hopkins has a good game. The Titans secondary has struggled a little bit. Lamar Miller has a good game. I don't think they score a lot, but they have a lot of yards because the Titans have sort of adopted their Patriots style of play and bend don't break. So I think they'll have a few touchdowns, but they'll have a couple field goals as well. The Titans, on the other hand, will not score over 24 because they just Mariota is dealing with injuries, and I don't think they have the right offensive coordinator. Anyway, those are my predictions. Thanks for watching. Just a reminder, because I've heard some people don't know about this, I have the timestamps for all the topics that I talk about in each video in the comments. So you can just look there and then pick and choose what you watch, or don't really care. Thanks for watching. If you did, have a nice day.